I'm like, I don't know where to begin. I have a Katy Perry story. I have them all written down here. Okay. I have Chrissy Teigen, Blake Shelton. These are all out of the Junket setting, but
Hi and welcome to Floss and Talk. I'm Kjersti Flaa. I am an entertainment reporter. I'm based in Hollywood. I've been doing celebrity interviews for many, many years, and I've been sharing a lot of my behind the scenes experiences here on my channel lately. Today, I'm interviewing someone very special who has been interviewing celebrities herself. Her name is Taylor Ferber. She has her own podcast called
Talk to Me, Taylor. Taylor Ferber is can we say an ex-junket journalist?
I think so. I think it's fair to say. Too
You've been,
soon. I don't know, a little PTSD maybe.
I will leave a link below to your channel so people can watch
Perfect.
the second half or the first half actually of this conversation that we're having. I'm so excited to have you on my channel because you really understand everything that I've been talking about.
Oh my gosh. I mean, as I told you, I have been screaming this from the rooftops, what you've done for years. In fact, you'll so appreciate this. I had my own platform as I was a freelance red carpet reporter called Stripping Down Celebs. Okay. It was before that was Talk to Me, Taylor. And what I would do as your work, right? Because you were so fed up of the really sort of canned, polished, box, boring celebrity interviews, I went on red carpets with a selfie stick to get celebrities to be, say, act, do things. You would think we were best friends that they never would. It really transported them off the carpet. I've talked about it at length on my platform, Talk to Me, Taylor. So when I saw your story, I was like, hallelujah. Like I said, the Joan Rivers heaven's gates have opened. I feel seen because there is, like you said on my show, there's so much enabling of bad behavior of these powerful people who are famous behind the scenes, and it's not okay. So, like I said, thank you for your service and your work because it has been everything. So,
Oh, you're so sweet.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, most people don't understand what it is like to cover a red carpet. And I really salute you for doing that because that's one of the worst experiences I've ever had was doing a red carpet. Can you explain
Really?
to people, yeah, what that's really like? Because when you show up, you never know what you're going to get, right?
It is the Hunger Games survival of the fittest. Not only because you're dealing with these power entities that you often talk about with junkets. So you and I, like I've been, even because of the nature of what I did, right, had sort of a bullseye on my back for, God forbid, going up against their machine and pushing up against the grain. But you have that. So you have literally the celebrities PR team, their toothbrush holder, hair braider, pet holder, like anyone you could ever name. Okay. Their manager, they're this, they're that. Then you have the people of the studio. Then you have the people running the event. So you have all that. Then you also have the frenetic and spontaneous nature of it, which is literally survival of the fittest, because you will have Chris Pratt, so and so Hemsworth, whoever it is, walking down, and you're fighting with a miles long length line of reporters to get your question in and to not piss them off, to your point, because you'll never see the light of day again, at least for that studio celebrity, whatever it is. And you have the publicist breathing down your neck. At least on junkets, you don't physically see them in your videos. Like they are literally on your shoulder and in your hair of what you can and can't ask. So, I loved the spontaneity of the carpets. I found them much less stiff than junkets. And right. So I've had great, really humanizing moments, but let's just say if I never step foot on a carpet ever again, unless I'm on the other side of it, I would be just fine.
Have you had any like bad experiences? I feel like people really want to hear about the bad experiences.
God. Well,
So, what is,
so
do
I'm
you
like,
have any
where do
horror
I
stories?
begin? Where do I begin? I'm like, I feel like I have a grab bag. I'm like, I don't know where to begin. I have a Katy Perry story. I have them all written down here. Okay. I have Chrissy Teigen, Blake Shelton. These are all out of the junket setting, but all really indicative of like the control and narratives and how they punish us and not them, basically. The
Talk
Chrissy
to me,
Teigen,
Taylor.
maybe Blake, thus Talk to Me, Taylor. Yes. Um, maybe my Blake Shelton story. So it was a pseudo junket. It was actually here in Nashville, and he was promoting his new USA Today like fun slapstick reality drinking game show at his bar Ole Red. And doing what I do, right? I try to go bigger picture and somewhere more interesting. So I'm sitting there with him, like Carson Daly, Nick and Nikki Bella, they're right there. And I asked him, this is so vanilla. But I asked him again, like nobody cares how good Nikki Bella is at a horseshoe toss. Like nobody cares, right? So I asked him, in a time of such political divide, this is a show that really kind of brings people together. And even what you do, like your concerts, whatever it is, like talk about that. And he basically was like, it was totally fine. He's like, yeah, let's all just like, exactly. Like at the end of the day, we have more in common than not. Let's get together and like have a beer, end of story. Now, I thought it would be the end of story until I don't know where along the line things went awry. I'll never maybe know what happened. I don't know if Blake Shelton went to his team. I don't know if they overheard or oversaw something, but basically they were really upset that at this, and again, maybe I should have read the room, right? But at this lighthearted, fun thing, I, God forbid, brought up, the divisiveness in our culture, even though what he said was totally appropriate and diplomatic. So get a load of this, Kjersti, okay? The event publicist, the NBC publicist, Blake Shelton's personal publicist, who else? Maybe the old red, anyone you could ever think of in Nashville, okay? Pulled me aside and basically told me I couldn't run any of the footage. And I've
Wow.
grown more balls now than I had back in the day. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, you have to be kidding me. Maybe we can negotiate what runs. How awkward is this? You think hearing your voice on like a voicemail is awkward? They had me sit through and watch the interviews with them backstage frame by frame so we can negotiate what I could run. And the sad part is you see, and this is all on my site, like you see Blake Shelton grabbing my selfie stick and getting all into it and having fun. And even as they're watching the footage, they're like cracking up and laughing. And then they remembered that they were there to punish me and like got all serious, right? And they were then all, reprimanding me. So it just goes to show what I did
Oh my
worked,
God. So
and you
they
just have to
put you,
control everything.
but they put you into a separate room and
They
looked through.
brought this whole event was going on. They had performers. They brought me
But was
backstage,
this
like
on your
upstairs.
personal phone?
Yes. Yeah. They brought me upstage behind the scenes, upstairs in some room of his old red.
Wow.
And you know how on my show we talked about it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
Yeah.
I could have easily have been a jerk and been like, what do I care about these people? I'm gonna just publish it all anyway. Again, nothing was even bad. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in good relation with them. Whatever it is, I'll just post what we agreed upon. And I did. But do you think I've ever heard from any of them since? No. So it's like you lose, like, right? So,
Wow. That's pretty
yes.
shocking, actually. And I think
Yeah.
it's the only reason is because you mentioned the word political, because they're terrified of that word.
Terrified.
Yeah.
And anyone here who knows Blake Shelton, because Nashville is very small and very incestuous, and everyone's like, oh, he's so fun and politically incorrect in real life. And I'm like, well, gee, I wouldn't know because it's like, God forbid. And the sad thing is, like, look, this is why, and I'm sure similarly with you, this is why I set out to do what I did in Hollywood, because these people do influence our lives, right? And so it's interesting to see what they think. I mean, they're representing culture on stage, on screens, whatever it is. And the truth is, like, God forbid they have an opinion, like they think about these things. Clearly Blake Shelton had an opinion, right? But it's
Yeah.
like, God forbid any of
But he
that is
wasn't
said.
in that room, obviously, because he pretended that he
No, no,
didn't
no,
know,
no.
not know about this, and he had nothing to do with it.
And even my Chrissy Teigen story, I can tell you quickly, is really sort of this really illustrates this arc of like where we were, the middle, and like where we're at now. It was sort of like cancel culture before its time, actually.
Tell it.
So
Talk to me, Taylor.
I will talk to you, Kjersti. So, because like I was probably more so than you. So you're doing well. I was definitely a little bit of a ball buster, right? And it was not to call celebrities out or trash them. It was just to get to and say what's real. And so I was a really fresh writer. I was brand new in LA, had just come from New York for VH1, fresh on the scene. And I'd written an op-ed for VH1 about Chrissy Teigen calling, this was like, I don't know, 2016, 2015 maybe, calling her a cyberbully because I didn't appreciate how she was on Twitter saying she was getting bullied and ruthlessly bullying random people. I was just like, you're perpetuating this toxic cycle. Well, she got wind of it and she started tweeting publicly at both me and at VH1. It ended up becoming a national news story. It was
Oh
picked up
my
in
God, I
Yahoo,
missed
Huffington
this.
Post. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And so again, we talked about on my show the culture of silence. Keep your head down. Don't say anything. Like, God forbid you upset someone, high profile. And so I had all of the receipts that showed, that I got the approval from the editor, that they wanted me to run with the piece, the headline, all of it. And still I was made the scapegoat and they put me on suspension. Allegedly, rumor has it that Chrissy Teigen actually called them to fire me. I don't know. That remains to be seen.
Wow. Oh
But
my
so
God, I'm getting goosebumps. That's so horrible.
it was crazy. And so
Wow.
I was really at a fork in the road, as you know, because I said, okay, either I appease VH1 and Chrissy Teigen and keep my head down and keep my job, or I walk. And out of principle, I walked. I was
Good
like, I
for you.
believe what I wrote in the piece, and I had nothing. I had like a friend and a half in LA, no family there, no money, no job, no nothing. And it turned out for the better because my whole red carpet career blossomed. But cut to, and this is like where I say like the arc of celebrity culture, right? Because then it was like, no, just you can't, God forbid, no, you have to, Chrissy Teigen is the good one here. You're the bad guy. Like, don't say anything. She's in the right, she's the queen. Cut to a few years later, the Chrissy Teigen bullying scandal came to light. And this is where I say why people are fed up with the facade and the fakeness, because the hypocrisies aired out, where it was exposed how she was literally DMing people, some with notoriety, some random people, to literally kill themselves. So I ended
Oh
up
my
writing
gosh.
yeah. And so I ended up writing an op-ed in USA Today saying that, I could have told you all I was on the brunt of this wrath years ago, but B, you like, again, how, to your point, how outlets, how everybody, enables it with these celebrities, and C, how punishing her though in this cyclical, thing of cancel culture and canceling her, so to speak, just wouldn't even, what would that do? Like, maybe she should actually go out and try to reach out to people and her fans and have a dialogue. Like, that's more productive. So I still didn't advocate for her to be like punish cancel culture style in that way. But I
Wow.
think, that's kind of the full sort of circle of where it's been and where it's
Oh
going.
my
I'd like to
gosh.
think. Yeah.
Good for you. You kept your integrity. But I mean, then
Yes,
of course
ma'am.
you're the one who got punished for it,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Always.
like I said, before that there's a reason why I didn't post my interview with Blake Lively 8 years ago, because then I would have been the one that got attacked and not her. And
Yeah.
yeah, so anyways,
And
thank you for sharing those
yeah.
stories. I didn't know, and
Yeah.
that's really like shocking to me. That's on another level. And that just explains,
Yeah.
sometimes with your Blake Sheldon story, it's all the people around, all the enablers that are all, a lot of the times they're the problem. But with your Chrissy Teigen, obviously it's a very different story. But
Yeah.
these combined with these like yes people, they just keep feeding the
Always.
monster to have bigger and bigger egos. And then things like we see with PTD is happening, and no
Yeah.
one said anything. So many people knew, like with Harvey Weinstein, so many people knew about it. I mean, it's just like, it's
Shocking.
so, yeah. And
Have
then the
you?
women that come out and talk about it, they're the ones that get shamed, and that still happens. So I just like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have so much admiration for women who, come
That's a
forward
good
and
point.
talk about these things, because they would always, the victim shaming is like still such a real thing. And it's happening. It's still happening. I'm sure a lot
Yeah.
of these victims who came forward in the PDD case has gotten hate. I'm sure of it.
It is. It's like, who are you protecting and why? I actually, I interviewed R. Kelly survivors at the time, and,
Oh
we had
wow.
this conversation. But sometimes, and I don't know about you, and again, there's a great story on your series and on your channel about like asking an actor about a big like birthday, and they were like, oh, no, like
Yeah.
much too personal. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't realize I was asking for his blood type and family tree. But sometimes it's like, what are the severity of, yes, like a Diddy or a Weinstein, but then sometimes you're like, what are you protecting here?
Yeah.
And it's so wild. Like one time, and I actually told the story recently on my show talking about all your stuff that had come to light. But I don't know about you because you're on Junket, so it has to be somewhat civil. But I had a publicist literally push me, okay, and grab my arm
Physically?
once. Physically, yes. I went back in my files to be like, okay, am I crazy? Like, to confirm. But I used to cover the weekly American Idol shows, and I would go on the CBS lot. And so every week we would interview Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, Lionel Richie, and all the contestants. And like, again, tell me what initiative they would have in protecting this and not allowing me to run this. At the time, Katy Perry and Taylor Swift were kind of like feuding or on the heels of their big feud. And you know how on American Idol, they'll have these guest mentors? Like at the time, they had Carrie Underwood. So I asked them, I said, would you be open to a Taylor Swift cameo maybe to mentor? And they all got like really excited. And even Katy Perry was like, yeah, and she was about to answer. And the publicist, because we have to detail these really carefully in our notes. And I have all the receipts. I am a librarian of these receipts. The publicist cuts her off. I don't even think it was her personal one. I think it was the American Idol people. Cuts her off and literally pushes my arm and grabs me, being like, that's enough, and stops her from talking. And and then she really quickly, because she's a media pro, pivoted to be like, I think that I've learned a lot from American Idol, like something so cheesy. But they came up to me afterwards and they said, like, you can't run any of that. And my client at the time was Us Weekly, and they were pissed. Like, what? And so that's the kind of thing. It's like, what incentive would they have to cover up? Like, who cares if Katy Perry was like, yeah, and extending the olive branch, like stuff like that. Yeah, that's really wild.
Wow. Oh
So
gosh. Anyway, this was so nice, Taylor. We have to do this again. And I'm
I
sure
love that.
the audience out there is going to love this. I mean, so yeah, it's not only me that's having these
No,
experiences.
it is not. It's not. I so share your ups and downs and journey. And that's why I can't tell you enough and stress enough how much I love the work that you're doing, because clearly
We
our
have the
real
same notes. Yeah. Can you
we
tell
have the
everyone
same notes.
where they
Yeah.
can see your show and where they can listen to it?
Yes, absolutely. So Talk to Me Taylor is my podcast, super like this, irreverent, pull no punches about, culture, society, politics, celebrity. So Talk to Me Taylor, it's on YouTube and Spotify. You can watch, listen, and all the podcast platforms. But yeah, get in on the ride. You will not be bored, I promise.
Yay. Thank you so much. This was amazing. And thank you for standing up for things and telling it like it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yay.
Always. Someone's got to do it, and that someone is us, it seems.
Yeah.
So, that's who you are looking at them. No, I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.